In the spring of 1871, a young man picked up a book and read 21 words that had a profound effect on his future. A medical student at the Montreal General Hospital. He was worried about passing the final examination, worried about what to do, where to go, how to build up a practice, how to make a living. The 21 words that this young medical student read in 1871 helped him to become the most famous physician of his generation. He organized the world famous Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. He became Regius Professor of Medicine at the Oxford, the highest honor that can be bestowed upon any medical man in the British Empire. He was knighted by the King of England. When he died, two huge volumes containing 1466 pages were required to tell the story of his life. His name was Sir William Osler. Here are the 21 words that he did in the spring of 1871. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. 42 years later, on a soft spring night, Sir William Osler told to the students of Yale University that although he had been a professor in 4 universities and had written a most popular book, even so, his brain were of the most mediocre character. He believed that a load of tomorrow, added to that of yesterday, carried today, and makes it the strongest falter. Shut off the future as tight as the past. Did Dr. Osler mean to say that we should not make any effort to prepare for tomorrow? No, not at all. But he did go on in that address to say that the best possible way to prepare for tomorrow is to concentrate with all your intelligence, all your enthusiasm on doing today's work superbly today. That is the only possible way you can prepare for future. During the war, our military leaders planned for the tomorrow, but they could not afford to have any anxiety. I have supplied the best men with the best equipment we have, and have given them what seems to be the wisest mission, and that is all I can do, said Admiral Ernest J. King, who directed the United States Navy. He also said that if a ship has been sunk, I cannot bring it up. If it is going to be sunk, I cannot stop it. I can use my time much better working on tomorrow's problem than by fretting about yesterday's. Besides, if I let those things get me, I would not last long. Whether in war or peace, the chief difference between good thinking and bad thinking is this: good thinking deals with causes and effects and leads to logical, constructive planning. Bad thinking frequently leads to tension and nervous breakdown. The late Edward S. Evans almost killed himself with worry before he learned that life is in the living, in the tissue of every day and hour. He brought up in the poverty. Edward made his first money by selling newspapers, then worked as a grocery clerk. 7 people depended upon him for bread. 8 years passed before he could summon up the courage to start out on his own with an original investment of 55 borrowed dollars into a business of his own that made him $20,000 a year. Then came a frost, a killing frost. He endorsed a big note for a friend, and that friend went bankrupt. Quickly, on top of that, a disaster came another. The bank in which he had all his money collapsed. He went he not only lost every cent he had, but has plunged into debt for $16,000. His nerves could not take it. He told that I could not sleep or eat. I became strangely ill. Worry and nothing but worry brought on this illness. One day, as I was walking down the street, I fainted and fell on the sidewalk. I was no longer able to walk. I was put to bed and my body broke into boils. These boils turned inward until just lying in the bed was agony. I grew weaker every day. Finally, my doctors told me that I had only 2 more weeks to live. I was shocked. I drew up my will and then lay back in bed to await my end. No use now to struggle or worry. I gave up, relaxed, and went to sleep. I had not slept 2 hours in succession for weeks, but now, with my earthly problems drawing to an end, I slept like a baby. My extinguishing weariness began to disappear. My appetite returned. I gained weight. A few weeks later, I was able to walk with crutches. 6 weeks later, I was able to go back to work. I had been making $20,000 a year, but I was glad now to get a job for $30 a week. In a few years, Edward became the president of the company. His company, the Evans Product Company, has been listed on the New York Stock Exchange for years. When Edward S. Evans died in 1945, he was one of the most progressive businessmen in the United States. If you ever fly over Greenland, you may land on Evans Field, a flying field named in his honor. Here is the point of the story. Edward S. Evans would never have had the thrill of achieving these victories in business and in living if he had not seen the folly of worrying, if he had not learned to live in a day-tight compartment. So, the first thing you should know about worry is this. If you want to keep it out of your life, do what Sir William Osler did. Shut the iron doors on the past and the future. Live in the day-tight compartments.